I'm already bald. I'm already handsome. So why am I not a famous movie star? What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a Movie Emporium's non-spoiler review for DC's Black Adam, the newest film in the DCEU, and that is directed by Jaume Collet-Serra. Okay, so this is a non-spoiler review for DC's Black Adam. Like I said, the newest DCEU film. It's going to be as non-spoilery as I can be. I am going to do a spoiler review to talk about the kind of the major details when this film actually comes out. So Black Adam is, of course, the 10-year in the making film that Dwayne Johnson has been working on forever. It's a passion project of his now at this point, I guess you could say. And it brings into the DCEU the character of Black Adam, or as he's known in this film, Tet Adam, because he's a character that is a champion. He's part of the Shazam world, and he is basically brought out of slumber after 5 years of basically imprisonment, I guess you could say. And in the process, we have this group of individuals who are trying to steal this crown that could make them powerful in a lot of respects to take over this world of Taruk. And basically, Black Adam, who is a anti-hero, has to find his way to not only not being the bad guy, not being the anti-hero, but also trying to protect this world that is very different from him, because of course he's 5,000 years old. Along comes the way we have characters like Hawkman, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, Dr. Fate, who are all played by pretty famous actors like Aldis, Hodge, and Brosnan. And they must stop him because, of course, Black Adam is a kind of fish out of water character in a lot of respects, so he does things that are not very couth in a lot of respects. And then it has other things which I don't want to get into details until I get my spoiler review. So with that said, kind of an understatement that Dwayne Johnson's been working on this for quite a while, 10 years or more at this point. It's a film that was very early in the stages of the DCU, probably in the Man of Steel era. It's a film that's gone through like many directors, many writers, many cast and crew. To be fairly honest, at some point there were different characters that were supposed to be in this movie that weren't like the ones that are in there now, and it was just a movie that, for all intents and purposes, was kind of a development hell type of movie. It was one of those things where I'm surprised that Dwayne Johnson was so committed for it for so long. But he's a guy that loves these projects. Like, when he finds himself committed and when he wants to be in the DCEU or when he wants to be a superhero, he's going to do it. But like I said, Fast and the Furious came along and everything he's worked on, like Rampage and all that good stuff. So, and the only thing that I was really truly worried about outside of the trailers, which were pretty terrible, is this is a Jaume Collet-Serra film. The reason he's doing this is because of Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson really liked working with him on the Jungle Cruise. So I get it. I understand it. I do love the fact that, actors have sometimes a director they like to work with, say like Leo or Robert De Niro with Martin Scorsese and all that good stuff. But it still worried me, and I thought the trailers looked very, 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 very vanilla. And a lot of people did too. It's just still worrisome of how trailers are put together at this point in this day and age. There's like no kind of there's no cool creative concepts behind any trailers anymore. They're just kind of boring and stagnant. So I went into this film a little worried that it wasn't going to be very good. And so for my review of this film, my honest review of this film in a non-spoiler sense, it's a movie that I wasn't really in love with. It has some great action moments. It definitely harkens to a certain director that has worked in the DCU when it comes to the action. But though people were loving this movie, and there's going to be a lot of people who love this movie because it definitely is a better film than, let's say, Doctor Strange or Thor: Love and Thunder, DCEU is starting to show a little bit of pride in their films they're making. The problem I have with this movie is not the action. It's top notch. It works. It's good. Some of the CGI doesn't work, but it's the character development. It's the level of writing in the script. It's the idea of characters not really having anything above surface or below surface level. The Rock has been working on this project for 10 years. There's been 10 years of development. I know they go through scripts and changes and all that stuff, but this movie has a weird tone to it. As soon as this movie starts, it starts with a narrative thing where they I don't understand why superhero movies or movies in general need narrative discussions about the history of the character. That should be kind of peppered in, to be fairly honest. It feels a little bland and kind of rote in a lot of respects. I get why they did it in this movie, but I feel like it's been done a billion times, and I feel like it's a trope in a lot of respects. So we have to learn the history of blah 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 of Black Adam and how he became where he's at. And then, the movie begins, and then stuff happens, and we're finally introduced to Black Adam and stuff like that, and there's some really cool stuff at the beginning. As soon as Black Adam starts talking, or as soon as Dwayne Johnson starts talking, the dialogue is so bad. It's so stilted. It feels like, 16 people worked on this movie, and all they knew what to do was look at, like, the old cartoons or the old 70s action movies, and just they threw that in there. I think that's why this movie was so successful for the audience, was because it harkens back to like a 70s action movie. And as much as I enjoy 70s action movies or 80s action movies, I feel like the dialogue should be a little more punchy. There's stuff that it feels so stilted and so dry and so, like, paint by numbers, and the dialogue just feels like very wooden in a lot of respects. We're getting into like Star Wars territory here with how Dwayne delivers dialogue, which I know he's not an Oscar level actor, but he's done stuff that really shows that his talent when he becomes an actor, and his physical prowess is definitely worthy of a superhero movie. I mean, he is menacing in this movie, and he is no holds barred. This is a very violent movie, by the way, so beware with your kids. I just didn't like how the dialogue was presented. The story and the editing is so choppy in this movie. It is literally every 2 seconds there's another edit to another scene, and it's so whirlwind and so exhausting to watch. I'm like, oh my God, would you stop editing the movie? Allow a scene to kind of breathe. It was so bad. And then you get the characters of, like, the heroes, the Justice Society. You get the Hawkman, you get, Cyclone and Atom Smasher, and you get, Dr. Fate, which is Pierce Brosnan. And they're cool characters. A lot of these characters are very obscure. Hawkman, I think, was in, one of the DC Warner Brothers shows or CW shows, and that's really where I know him from. And, I don't know much about Atom Smasher, which he very much feels like an Ant-Man. That's, unfortunately, like Atom Smasher could be here before Ant-Man. But the problem with these characters when they're presented is not that they don't have cool abilities. The simple fact that they're just not developed very well. They're very one-note and very surface-level characters. They do a thing like they do in the Suicide Squad movie with Will Smith and Margot Robbie, that original one, where you get like, oh, here's who these characters are, this is what their superpowers, this is their back history, and I just feel like they keep falling in these traps of, like, the same stuff over and over and over. They do stuff with, like, Cyclone and Atom Smasher, which have no development at all. They feel very bland and one note, and they have, a couple cool moments, but they thrust them into ideas, and then they just kind of forget about them for a few minutes, and then they come back, and there never felt like there was any justification of why they were even there. They make the idea sense of they're there to stop Black Adam, but, like, how are these characters have any justification about their powers being able to stop Black Adam, which this whole movie makes Black Adam so OP that it almost becomes like, why are these characters even in the movie? And that's just this movie is problem in a nutshell. Even Pierce Brosnan, who should have a great character arc, should be a great character, has some cool moments, but it just, in the end, I never felt like his character really had any development. So I think Aldis Hodge as Hawkman has the most development, but his story would be much more interesting as his own movie. Like, these characters would have, if you did a Justice Society movie and you kind of really develop these characters, that'd be cool. But once again, the DCEU is showing the problematic side of, we're thrusting everything into the mixing bowl and the blender, and we're going to blend it real quickly, and that's your movie. And I had a problem with that. And it's the same thing with the villain. The villain is just another standard one-note wrote villain. It's played by, Marwan Kenzari, and I just didn't like his character at all. I didn't like where he progressed to. The main, young woman and her son and her brother, they don't really get any much character development. The kid is, fun, and he has that ability to be wonderment in his eyes, but unlike Shazam or something like that, I never felt like his character was really given much to do outside of just trying to keep Black Adam safe. And that's where my problems really lie with this movie. It's not a terrible movie. It doesn't go into Thor the Love and Thunder territory when it comes to being really bad, or She-Hulk, but it's a film that really is more just kind of set pieces and action than it is actual character and story development. I'm not saying don't go see this movie. I'm not saying you're not going to enjoy it. I just found it very tepid, very light on character study, character development, and outside of a few cool scenes of like slow motion and stuff like that, I feel like it just feels like it's the same crap over and over and over. So anyways, with that said, that'll be my non-spoiler review for this film. I wish I could have had better thoughts on it, but like I said, it is what it is. So anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Comments below. Let me know what you think of this movie when you see it. Like I said, I will do a spoiler discussion talking about kind of the ins and outs of this movie, just a little bit more into depth of what I thought about the movie. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, it's awesome. Hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like the video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.